All right, hello. Coming from the beautiful Australian bush at the base of Mount Dandenong, one of my spiritual homes, really. I love coming into nature, but the reason why I'm here with you is I wanted to share a little bit about my work and how that works, basically. And I wanted to give an example or a couple of examples of how the soul yearns and really tries to reconcile any unfinished and any unprocessed business that it has at that soul level. So the soul is that aspect of ourself that connects with our human experience. We all have many different incarnations, and the soul is that repository, or it's that memory bank of all that we've ever experienced, and so it carries more than one imprint of just this lifetime. So in doing so, when we bridge to the soul and we work with the soul, we have much more to us than what we realize. And the soul knows this, and it yearns to really reconcile and heal basically what has gone on before that's still impacting us in our everyday lives today. And I wanted to share with you a recent client of mine. I received a phone call from her. There was quite some strange phenomena going on in her house, and there had been a previous double homicide in that location, and she'd had two other previous people out there to clear the space for her because there was some things going on there that weren't normal. And she told me briefly about the story, and I said to her that I'll definitely come over, and I'll have a look into to see what needs to be done in this case, because a lot of people just think that you can go and sprinkle salt, or you can just go in and smudge and smoke out, some of these energies. But in quite serious and quite traumatic circumstances, that is not powerful enough for that energy to shift. And so Spirit told me I needed to take my entire altar and so much of my healing tools to the house. And I got there, and after I set up and I took my own soul flight and I connected with what had happened, basically. And there was two people who were murdered in that house quite aggressively by a young man on LSD. And at that time of death, it's way too confronting. It's way too much for the psyche to deal with and comprehend. So the psyche splits off, our aura splits off as well. And so we become disassociated. So an aspect of our consciousness leaves us. It's too much for the body or the psyche, to encounter, or the soul to encounter in the body for it to stay there. And so we split off, we fragment. And in going to her house, I connected with this man and this woman, the occupants of the house, and I had to process their unfinished business. It was quite a confronting experience for me. Well, not really confronting, but it was deeply sad. I had to connect with the woman. She'd had a couple of children, and she never got a chance to say goodbye to them, and I had to grieve for her. I had to process her grief for her, and I howled. It was so sad, connecting to her energy and the desperation that she never got to say goodbye to her children, and to process, what they went through. It was horrendous. So I processed that for her, and then I connected with the man. And of course he was angry, and he had rage, and he wanted revenge, and that was keeping him earthbound and stuck as well. And I had to work with him and to speak with him and encourage him to let these things go. Otherwise he'd be trapped in that state, fragmented for a long time, and how that would impact his soul and his next incarnation. And so reconciling that for both of them, and then allowing them to journey back to wherever it is we go back to. Also, prior to them transitioning, when we do fragment, when we do split in consciousness, it leaves us very vulnerable to opposing and negative energies. And so these two, because there was so much fear, there was so much violence, there was just, such horrendous circumstances that they died, it opened up a portal to all these negative energies which had attached to that aspect of their being. So I needed to clear that from them, so they were free of that energy, so they didn't take that into the next life. Also, got something rustling in the bush. Also, if they didn't heal and reconcile this at this time, when they incarnate next, so when their soul shoots forth another, another aspect of their being, they would take that, an imprint of that, into their next life, and there'd be something in their life that would, they'd have some kind of, not memory, but they'd have some kind of emotional, mental, in emotions, thought form, some kind of imprinting that would go into their unconscious mind that would somehow link back to this previous experience. We carry imprints in our auric field that speak to our consciousness at that unconscious level. So they could have had fear, they could have had, many different, it plays out in many different phenomena. And the lady that brought the house after the murders, she didn't know why she needed this house. She had no idea. She knew of the circumstance of what had happened previously, and she just knew at some level that she needed this house. She wanted this house. And when she called me, and I went and did the healing at their home, it was interesting because she also came into this healing space because in a past life she too had been violently murdered along with her family, and they were earthbound and they were fragmented. So this woman was called to this property, was called to this situation to experience this strange phenomena in her house because her own soul wanted to reconcile their past life. So it beautifully brought these together. And another one of the funny, well, not funny, but just the coincidences of this situation. As you know, that my husband, he got diagnosed, we had cancer last year. He's in remission now. But if this lady who had brought the house didn't reconcile a lot of her emotions and her ways of being and heal that at the soul level, Spirit actually said to her that there was a potential for her to, there was an imprint in her auric field for her to get ovarian cancer. So again, like through our circumstance, my husband and I had a past life as well. So we had a past life as well where we were earthbound and we'd been through massive trauma, and we lost 3 children in a war, a Zulu war in Africa. And so our circumstance mirrored to her circumstance as well, and we all received this healing. And I told her that it was beneficial for her to actually process this, so this imprint of disease didn't manifest in her life later on. About a month after I saw her, or 2 months it might have been, I got a message from her saying that she'd just been to hospital with a massive cyst on her ovary. And spookily enough, one of her girlfriends rang her and said, "I had a dream about you last night. I had a dream that you got ovarian cancer." And she was like, wow, this is just, too many coincidences. So anyway, so she came, and she hadn't had her moon or her period for a couple of months. And when she came to my healing clinic and I worked with her, Spirit were just, they paid so much attention to her ovaries, and obviously we healed all different dimensional aspects of who she was, but predominantly we did so much work on her ovaries. And she texted me the next day and got her period after not having it for many months. So it's just amazing how we can hold these things on so many different levels and bridging to the realm of spirit and soul, that we can heal such a massive part of who we are, which is quite unfortunate that we, in our everyday lives, we don't have contact with these memories or these imprints, and we really have to go on this deep journey into self, often with the help of others, to show us and to reconcile these aspects of us that haven't been processed. There's also another case I wanted to share about the soul trying to reconcile and heal. And that is of a woman who came to me, not in a very good way. There'd been domestic violence, quite seriously actually, and so she wanted to work on that situation. And in my personality self, I was like, wow, how do I empower this woman to leave this man who potentially could kill her? It was, such a dangerous relationship. And as I got her on the table and we took soul flight and I started journeying with her, it turned out that she was his captive in a prisoner of war circumstance many lives ago, and treated him horrendously. And in this lifetime, he was only negative and violent towards her. He was very loving, and appeared to be quite a nice man to all these other people. But to her, he was, he was horrific actually. And it was interesting because he too had many fragments of his psyche split. He had all these imprints in his life today that reminded him of this life back then. And when their energy bodies, when their auric fields came together, these unconscious imprints and emotions and memories were communicating to one another, yet at a conscious level they didn't understand why. And anyway, so I worked with her only once, and that was it. And about a year and a half later, somewhere like that timeline, she came back to me, and I was like, oh wow, I wonder what happened. I wonder if she left him, or and she said to me, oh, we're so happy now. He kissed me on the way here. He tells me he loves me. And I was just like dumbfounded, quite shocked. Just, he was literally acting from that past memory and projecting that into his now future, or his reality as it was back then. Take that imprint away, and it brings and bursts a space where we don't need to act and react from the past, so it frees us up. It really surprised me as a healer how much we are influenced by past lives. My husband always had an interest in them, and I used to say to him, what's the point of going back? What's the point of journeying into the soul? We've got that much stuff to deal with in this life, let alone trace back past lives and look at whatever's happened there. I didn't see the point. My work has proven to me and shown me time and time and time again that we are more than one lifetime. We incarnate with imprints and memories from more than one lifetime. We have so many karmic connections and interactions with people, and so many different fragments of ourselves and others that have played out in different timelines before play out again and again and again and again. And it is the soul that yearns and tries for us, whether through its relationships, whether it's through being attracted to something, whether it's repeating the same pattern over and over again. The soul has a desperate need and a desperate desire to become whole, to become reconciled, to merge back to its essence and its sacred nature. And we play out so much of these things, and I just wanted to share that with you, and to share a little bit of my work with you. It's what I do. I'm so passionate about it. I love it so much. I am very much supported energetically by my guides and my spirit helpers, and I have learnt through being on this path for about seven years in healing that my skill really is refined to soul work. I never set out for it to be that way. My path has just taken me that way, and I really do see the importance and the significance of soul work in where we are in our evolution as species, and at this time where we are, and we're yearning to heal all aspects of our nature, not just our subconscious mind, not just our childhood, but we're clearing and healing and revealing so many parts of us from previous lives, from our ancestors. We've got all these imprints that we're being confronted with and being asked to heal and reconcile at this time. So if you're on the path, and if you're on the journey of wanting to become more whole, more complete within yourself, more centered, more aligned to your essential nature, then soul work is by far probably the most profound work that I've been involved in, and I would love to share my gifts, my skills, my knowledge and my wisdom and my passion with you. So I hope to see you in my space sometime soon, and if not, just blessings on your own sacred path and your own sacred remembrance, and just so much love.